Hello all and welcome to episode 20 of the Sky Fantasy Podcast by Fantasy Football Hub. My name is Andrew and I'm joined as usual by two of the most successful Sky managers in the game. Firstly, Paul McAnulty. Paul, how has your game week 1 gone so far?
It was going well yesterday, but Kane captain today is wasn't the best.
Nightmare. We are also joined by former Sky winner Dan Cox. Dan, dare I ask how your weekend has gone?
Yeah. I'm here, mate.
Good. Are you above 50 points, Dan?
Yeah, I think I'm on 58.
Oh, not bad then.
No, 50. I was going to call up and say I can't make tonight or something, but it's not that. It's not the end of the world, is it? But yeah, it could have been better.
So myself and Dan have missed out on Salah and Vardy by the look of it, and Paul, you missed out on Vardy. So not the best, but there we go. Welcome all. As we are live, please feel free to join in the chat at any time. Let us know your thoughts on the topics, what the relevant sections, and feel free to ask some questions for us to answer at the end. For any new watchers and listeners, you're very welcome. And if you haven't subscribed to us yet, please press the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen and set the alert so you don't miss our live streams, which are 9 o'clock every Sunday night right here on this channel. Also, please can everyone now press the like button. There's only like 2 or 3 likes, but I can see there's about 30 or 40 people on the stream. Can everyone press the like button now, please? It really does help. And don't forget to download our new free app if you haven't already, which includes everything our website offers. Just search for Fantasy Football Hub from wherever you get your apps. So on today's podcast, our hot topics from our Twitter followers are new tackle bonus. So Paul is going to run us through some stats and how the tackle bonus is going to impact on selections potentially moving forward. Secondly, Liverpool defenders. Do we need them? Are they going to be good enough for us? And the third one is Mo or no Salah. So obviously everyone was hurt yesterday with was it a 46-point Salah captaincy miss yesterday? So everyone who wasn't on Salah, we need to make a decision in terms of whether we bring him in pre-overhaul and even bring him in at overhaul. So they're our topics for today. So firstly, we will also look at some ownership stats, some early thoughts on some emerging players. We'll answer some other questions. We'll share our plans for Game Week 2. We will update our podcast 11, which haven't had the best of starts either. We'll give some mini-league updates and finish off with Dan's rant. So round the tackle bonus, we had some questions off Hornet. New tackle bonus rules could see return of cheap backline post overhaul. Will more cheaper options be available? Question of Ollie Poole. Given the tackle bonus rule change, 3 out of 4 fullbacks in the Palace game, for example, hit tier 2. Could old reliables like VVD no longer be essential? And one mad world with the changes in tier tackle bonus added to passing bonus, do you think it may be a strategy to go 5 at the back, or at least not have 3 forwards to pick up consistent bonus tiers? So with this in mind, I'm going to hand over to you, Paul.
Yeah, so I think the perception was that the new changes to the bonus for the tackles has made an increase in players, but under the old rules, 11 players would have qualified for tackle bonus this weekend, and only 14 have actually been granted it. So it's only a 27% uptake on it. So there was only 3 players that didn't make tackles. That made tackles under the new rules that wouldn't have made it before.
Yeah.
And they were Bertrand, Struijk, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, the centre half for Leeds, and Højbjerg. I didn't include Souček in that, who was granted tier 1 tackle bonus, but on every site that I've checked, shouldn't have qualified for it because he only made three tackles and he didn't win possession on any of them.
Oh.
But under the new rules, I think the Sky are suggesting that he won 4 tackles, but okay. I don't know. So it looks like he's been granted points for that. But the other 3 were Bertrand, who I know Dan was annoyed at. He made 4 successful tackles but only retained possession once. Struijk, exactly the same, and then Højbjerg today only retained possession on 2 of the 4 tackles that were successful. So I think the perception just from those games was probably like a small sample size. I guess we'll see over time if that is going to make a significant change. But I'll update all the stats for that, especially I'll do it on a weekly basis, but on the overhaul particularly, so we can see any of the sort of budget enablers to see if we can pick the fullbacks and see if that is actually the case.
Sorry, so just in terms of the questions then, so far from what we've seen, granted we've only seen, 6 matches maybe, are your kind of initial thoughts, Paul, after looking at the data, that potentially we should be looking to switch some funds back?
Yeah, well, I think the example that was brought up was 3 of the 4 fullbacks in the Southampton game, but they would have all qualified for the tackle bonus last year. So if they weren't an option last year, what's making them an option this year? It's only 1 game's worth of data that we're going on just now. I'm not saying that that's not going to be the case, but as you say, like six games worth of data, that's probably not enough to go on at the moment.
Okay.
In terms of the other bonuses, so as I say, 14th new tackle bonus, 15 players received passing bonus this weekend, and 6 players received shot bonus as well. 2 of the players that I kind of highlighted, what I thought maybe we could do on a weekly basis was highlight players that are perhaps going under the radar. So nice. looking at the Fulham Arsenal game, Arsenal we know is a possession-based team, but looking at the Fulham team, they were playing out the ball out from the back quite a lot, and Harrison Reed and Tom Kearney, who were both playing in the sort of double pivot. Harrison Reed had 69 successful passes and 2 tackles as well. Tom Kearney only 1 tackle but 74 passes, so both picked up passing bonus. And as I say, that was against a possession-based team, so you think that they'll potentially be consistent players are picking up the bonus.
That Harrison Reed as well, that goal he scored was absolutely fantastic, and it was barely mentioned. It's one of the best goals I've seen in a long time. His touch to bring it down, his touch to knock it around the defender. Harrison. Who are you talking about? I thought you said Harrison.
Harrison Reed.
Sorry, I thought you were on about Jack Harrison then. Okay. Anyway, Harrison's goal was really underrated anyway. Sorry. That is interesting. Thanks for that, Paul. Hello in the chat. I missed a few above, but hello Ian, Martin Beasley, Matt Bell. Hello Liam, Bear, The Muzz, Peter G, Phil Speck. Welcome all. If anyone's new, pop in and say hello. We're very friendly, honestly. While we're on stats, Dan, could you give us some ownership stats?
Yeah, so I've just basically gone through the main sort of damage that we've suffered this weekend. So when I looked at Salah, on this early Saturday morning, he was in 22.1%. Obviously, a lot of people would have gone on Saturday morning and changed it, but when I checked this morning, he's still only in 22.96, so he didn't even gone up a whole percent. So Salah wasn't in that many teams. He's in less than a quarter of teams, so that gives you a little bit of hope. Yeah. But he isn't, unsurprised. Well, actually, I probably thought he'd probably be in 100%, but he's only in 94% of the top 1,000. Okay. But it's not really worth looking at all them sort of stats this early on. Aubameyang, he was the most popular, 41.21%. Willian, who I was really surprised how many teams he was in. He was in 16% on Saturday morning. And I wasn't really sure if he was going to start or whatever. But anyway, he's in 18% of teams now, and he had a hell of a day Saturday. So he was one I looked at percentage-wise. I thought, God, he's in a lot of teams. What are they doing? And then it's like, oh, yeah, that's why. Gabriel, goal, clean sheet, whatever bonuses he got, man of the match as well. He's only 1.97% of teams. And, if you had him, you'd done well. I know you could have seen the lineup and got him in.
108 passes.
Say again, mate.
108 passes for him as well.
The new Van Dijk. Talking of Van Dijk, 31.79% of teams. I got the goal, didn't he? But not a lot else. Who else was there? Today, Vardy in 16.4% of teams. Again, not massively owned. Kane just under that, 15.57%. Didn't do nothing, but that was it. The other one was, how are we saying that? Leicester fullback. How are we pronouncing that?
James Justin.
No, I can pronounce that one. The other one, the one who scored, got man of the match. But he's in 1.22% of teams. So he's a nice little pick as well. 7.6 million. He had a good start. Yeah. So that was the main ones. Really, the main ones I sort of looked at was then Vardy and Salah after they were getting all their goals, thinking, "Oh God, how many teams are they in?" So just some little ones I looked at there. Mitchell as well looked at a Palace. He got a 10-pointer, I think, 0.58% of teams. So hardly anyone's got him, and 5.2 million. He's already. If you don't get any more points till the overhaul, he's done you well at that price.
Yeah, he was Van Aanholt's replacement, wasn't he? And Van Aanholt is due back next week or the week after because he was in my draft, but read up and he's due back, Van Aanholt, isn't he? So
the Crystal Palace back four managed 51 passes between them.
Oh wow, blimey! It's good to know. Good to know for next time.
I actually forgot to mention earlier on. If anyone owns James Ward-Prowse, you can deem yourself unlucky because under last year's tackle rules, you would have got the 2 points for the tackle bonus and not this year.
Okay. So our second topic then, in terms of questions, was around Liverpool defenders. So we had questions from @SamSkyFF, @AutoRecloseFPL, and @Daniel Radcliffe. And it's all about Liverpool defenders. Can they be trusted? Are they too much money? Are there better options? So Dan, can I ask you first what your thoughts are currently on Liverpool defenders?
Well, they've got Chelsea and Arsenal, haven't they? So I just don't know. I weren't really sold on them after the restart, but I know they'd had the title and maybe taken it easy. But yeah, I don't know. I'll be watching the next 3 games till the overhaul, and if they're not getting it or tight, they just look so lax at the back at the minute. I don't know. I know it's only been 1 game, but at the minute you're sort of thinking, no, I don't think I will put that money into them unless they sort it out somehow. But this one, I'm just going to watch till the overhaul and make a decision then.
How about you, Paul?
Yeah, and I kind of went off Trent quite a bit now with Robertson taking a lot of the corners. He was doing that post-overhaul as well. Post-restart at the end of last season. So, it takes away the attacking bonus. And Trent's never been great for the passing bonus anyway. I think, Van Dijk got 25 passes or 26. I can't remember what it was, or something. It was 20-something successful passes yesterday. I still think he will achieve passing bonus in a lot of games.
Will, yeah.
Leeds are a possession-based team. So.
Yeah, I went with just Robertson after in my team because it saved the 0.7 off Van Dijk, and as you mentioned last year, if Van Dijk tends to get the bonus, then Robertson normally does as well because they pass to each other a lot, don't they? Robertson sometimes get the tackles, and obviously he was on all the set pieces on the left hand side as well. So for me at the moment, Robertson is he's the value pick, I suppose. There, even though Van Dijk could have actually got another goal as well, but I think Robertson's a really good pick. I think he's a better pick than he was last year because he is on all the corners and free kicks now over on that left-hand side of the pitch. I can't remember. I didn't watch all the game yesterday, but I can't remember Trent having much, in terms of set pieces. He had the corners on the right-hand side, but I think because Mane tends to play on the left-hand side as well, Mane gets fouled a lot, which means that Robertson gets lots of free kicks on that side. So I think he gets a few more things anyway. But just in terms of my thoughts on Liverpool, if you've got the 2 or 3, you just have to probably ride it out unless you need a captain, in the next week or 2. But it's 1 game. We'll touch on this now when we come on to Salah. But it probably is really important to actually stress that we've got 1 game of data in most cases here, and that Liverpool Leeds game was very much a one-off game as well. It's very, very rare you see a game like that. I thoroughly respect Liverpool. I think that Chelsea will give them a hard time. They've then got Villa, they've then got Arsenal. So I just, unless you need a captain, I probably wouldn't be doing VVD down to Gabriel. Personally, I don't see the point, but that's just my view on that. And finally, then the questions we had from our topics were around Salah. So FPL Mourinho, Ian Parrin, and Sam Guy all ask around Salah. Did we overlook Salah? For us non-Salah owners, do we stick to the plan? And Sam Guy, is there a non-Salah owners helpline? But in terms of that question, for us non-Salah owners, do we stick to the plan? Paul, can I ask you your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the original plan, was not to go Salah, knowing that he could do well in the first game, but he's got 2 difficult games after it. and like he has a good record at home to the teams outside the top six, so that's why I kind of split captaincy and brought Salah into one of my teams. On my main team that I don't have him, I kept 0.4 in the bank, so 0.1 to make the Aubameyang to KDB move that we had talked about before, and 0.3 for Kane to Salah at home to Arsenal on the Monday night game week 3. So that was my plan, and that's still my plan there. So the thing, like we're all saying, the plan changed probably because we've got Kane, and like watching today was quite abstract. But we kind of expect that from Kane. Watching him, we know that he'll still score 15 goals, 20 goals this season if he's fit for the whole season, regardless of how he plays in certain games. Yeah. He's always getting shots away, he'll always get penalties. So although it's disheartening to watch it, and especially when Vardy was owned, I still think on another day Kane's going to outscore Vardy. So my plan's still staying exactly the same.
And how about you, Dan? What are your coping mechanisms? Are you just carrying on as per the plan yet?
Yeah, so I didn't pick Salah because of the Chelsea and Arsenal games, like Paul said. So that was I knew Leeds he could get 1 or 2. I mean, don't think he was going to jam and get 2 penalties. The goal he did score was a beauty though, and the penalties were good as well. But that's the same with Vardy. Won at 2 penalties. He didn't have a shot otherwise. So I don't know. But yeah, Salah. Can you remember we had the guy, and I think you said no, but he said something about could you start with Salah, then switch on to Vardy, and then go back to Salah? And I actually said yeah, and that was something I'd had thought of, but I quickly discarded it because I didn't want to use transfers before the overhaul. So yeah, we all knew that Leeds was a risk, but I'm just hoping now that the other strikers I've got are going to catch up his sort of points tally over the next 2-3 games. And it's only one day, isn't it? But yeah, Leeds was always a worry, but we're only one game in.
What I would say to people listening, if they're disheartened by having a strike force that contains no Salah yesterday and then Kane over Vardy today, is that for any manager to have both Vardy and Salah and Aubameyang means that they've not got a Chelsea attacker, or they've got like Havertz perhaps in midfield, or they don't have Werner. A lot of teams will have a front line with Werner in it as well. So I wouldn't get too disheartened about it. There's going to be plenty of opportunities. I appreciate it's a sore one to take on the first 2 calendar days of the season, but there's going to be multitude of opportunities to make that back up.
Yeah, I just repeat what you guys have said. I just say stick to your plan. Don't panic. Yesterday people were having a fit everywhere I looked, on Twitter or wherever else, and saying my season's over. I'm gonna delete my team, la 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 la. And at that point, we're something like 0.2% into the season. It's just it's just absolutely crazy, And if you look at some of the players who've scored now, so Justin, just for example, is probably not that a well-known pick outside of the people who kind of study the game, and he got he got a 9-pointer, which is which is nearly half of Salah's, 23 with man of the match. My point is, we'll get the points elsewhere by, Højbjerg. He was dreadful today. He was awful, but he got 5 points because he got the passive bonus and the tackle bonus. So whereas everyone's going for the goal scorers all the time, we'll be getting the points, kind of mopping up underneath. So I wouldn't worry. Personally, it just happens, and you can't have everyone, right? So if you've gone for Salah and the opposite would have happened, you would say, why did I go for Aubameyang? It was the obvious one, it was the obvious one. It just happens. Just roll with it. And also, we all picked Aubameyang over Salah as well, and Kane over Salah, because Aubameyang and Kane have got 2 nice home games in the next 2 games. So Aubameyang's home to West Ham next week, which is a prime fixture, while Salah's away to Chelsea. And then the week after, so Kane's away to Southampton next week, but then he's home to Newcastle the week after. Okay that they played well yesterday, but Mourinho is going to give him a hell of a boot up the backside, after that performance. So I wouldn't fret. It's like we brought them in with a grander plan in place, and but obviously, well done to all those who had Salah. great decision. We were tossing up 50-50, you know, and it went a certain way. So
the worst thing to do is panic, though, isn't it? Like, I've had people
definitely
message me. Some guy messaged like, "Shall I bring in Gabriel of Arsenal?" It's like, well, no, because you don't get them points you don't get the points that he's earned, and that's just the classic sort of panic move, isn't it? Like, I bet a load of people would have transferred in Salah, thinking, God, he scored that, I'll bring him in, and then without even looking at the next couple of fixtures. And do you know what I mean? I wouldn't. Yes, I probably would have captained him yesterday if I had him, but you're not going to captain him against Chelsea or Arsenal, I shouldn't think. So, well, maybe you might do against Arsenal, but you know, on that 20th, you wouldn't, would you? I don't think so. You got to stick to the plan and just, you know, I know it's been a bad day, bad weekend, but at least if you can then not waste any transfers as well, you can always hope to recover them points one way or another.
Tell you what's sick. Non-penalties wise, Salah and Vardy had a combined expected XG of 0.32, and they got 4 goals off that 0.32, which is just, you know, just sick. But you do pick those guys with penalties in mind as well, so you know it is deserved. Anyway, let's get out from being down in the dumps. Evening Hornet, evening all. Someone asked, it's gone up now, but someone asked what you're drinking there, Dan.
I've got a Stella.
I think it was the is that a
like
Stein you've got, or is it just a pint glass? It is a Stein, is it? You've got a Stein of Stella.
Yeah,
it's been one of those days, mate. It's brilliant.
Mate, I've been walking around the zoo all day. It's been like bloody 27 degrees here. Been boiling. It's fuming, mate. Need a beer. Okay, so moving on then. So, who are the emerging players? So, have any players come out of this weekend that actually, you may have had your eye on or not, that you actually think could be potential really good options that we hadn't really thought? If I just start off quickly, so we mentioned Alan last week. He looked really, really good. I haven't checked his stats, but he got man of the match. He was everywhere. He looked an absolute machine in that defence, and he looked a really good player. I think he's 8 million, and their fixtures are nice for a while as well. So
4 tackles and 46 passes. So you might pick up passing in some home games as well.
Yeah, really nice. He didn't get forward at all, but he looked that perfect kind of player who's going to get those mixture of all those bonuses. I thought Zaha actually looked really, really good, really attacking. Could have scored more actually.
Hodgson came out and said that Zaha's looking for a move still.
I saw that, yeah. And Everton are in the frame as well, which would be interesting because I'm not really sure where he'd fit in that line. And speaking of Everton, I thought Richarlison was very unlucky as well. Obviously he fluffed the one-on-one he had, but he also had one with bent kind of just around the post as well. So I thought Richarlison looked really, really sharp. Hornet said Alan got tier 1 tackles too, 7 points. Fraserworth, Keane and Digne both got close to tier 1 passing bonus. Luca Dean, what a balling that was for Calvert-Lewin, and what a header as well, to be fair. But Luca Dean, fortunately, I texted you boys on the weekend and said, who would you go for, Luca Dean or Ward-Prowse? And I had a 50-50 response, so I stuck with Luca Dean. Thankfully, it's one of the very few decisions, and we got right. Nathan Shaw asks, could Martial be an option as United have some great fixtures? I think he definitely could. I think he's 10 million, I want to say. It's just obviously the Bruno factor. It'll be hard to have them both. Paul?
Play on game week. They play in the first calendar game in game week 2 and game week 3, so you're not getting any 2-for-1s by transferring any players out either. Yeah,
if you fancy, if you think that Martial is going to get points for goals and assists more than Bruno is going to get for everything else, then it could be a differential. But if Bruno hauls and the amount of penalties that are being given as well, I'd be on Bruno. But I was on Aubameyang and I was on Kane. So what do I know? Do what you want to do. To be fair, just a couple of other players who caught me. I've already mentioned. Robertson, his crosses in from that left hand side are fantastic, and I think after the overhaul, I think he's going to be a really good pick. Willian, obviously, he got the 3 assists. He nearly scored as well. He hit the post from a free kick. Arsenal.
I can't believe he didn't get man of the match.
Yeah, it was.
Well, actually, to be fair, no, that was Gabriel he did get clean sheet and a goal,
Did
didn't
play
he?
well, yeah.
So,
but Willian has got, he's home to West Ham next, which is obviously a really nice fixture. After that, they've got a bit of a horrible run. But when their fixtures turn again, I can't remember when it is, something like game week 8 or 9 or something, Willian may be a really good shout. He's cheaper than Aubameyang. He would take up a midfielder spot, which will free up a striker spot as well. So, I think Willian could. I thought Harvey Barnes actually today had a bit of a stormer. I thought he looked really, really good. He was involved in a couple of the goals. He didn't get the assists as such, but he was involved in both goals. He looked really sharp. And Justin as well, because he's right-footed playing in that left back. Obviously he won the penalty, but he looked really dangerous, really forward as well, I thought. James Rodriguez looked sharp. How much is he after in Sky? Something like 8.5 or something.
8.8.
8.8. Yeah. It's probably a bit expensive, but he did look good. He was on corners and stuff as well, I believe. And the last two I've got, I mentioned these last week actually. As the cheap third striker spots, but Wilson and Calvert-Lewin both looked pretty decent.
I thought you and they both scored.
Here we are, mate. See, they scored more than Kane and Aubameyang, though. But that third, if after the overhaul we do decide to put more money at the back potentially, and we're looking for a cheap third striker spot, or cheaper, say, these are nice players, who are playing for half decent teams, and Everton especially looked really, really good. I haven't looked in depth at Leeds players. We have got a question about that, but that's me kind of out of players. Dan, did anyone else catch her on the weekend?
I think you covered most of them, mate, but I say it's just so early, isn't it? Just to I want at least sort of 4 games worth of data before I can then say, abandon all Van Dijk and this, that, and the other. I just like to see 4 games of seeing what the numbers are for passes, tackles, and stuff like that, and then we can try to make some sort of plan there. But it's just so early days, isn't it? But
we mentioned as well, so there's something to chat about. Hendrick, he's 7.5. Obviously had a stormer as well, and Newcastle have got nice fixtures for a while, I think. So he could potentially be an option. If anyone is stuck with anyone who gets injured or whatever else, that's a nice little price point there. It's a shame we didn't get him in our podcast team. We landed ourselves with Southcheck, who's got the mystery bonus at the moment. But anyone else, Paul? Any thoughts? Any of the players? What you're right?
I've always been a fan of Ndidi. He played centre half today, so he had 82 successful passes, 2 tackles as well.
Nice.
He'll obviously slot back into where Mendy's playing when Johnny Evans comes back, but if Leicester's fixtures are good, he's always going to pick up passing and tackle bonus as well.
Okay, thank you, gents. So we did have some other questions then, which we will just run through. So Azuri Fox, is Gabriel the new VVD and at 8 million? What are your thoughts, Dan?
Again, I'd like to see what he does in the next 3 games. Is he going to be nailed on the start now? Just basically keeping on. He looked. How many passes did he get? 108 or something. He said that's crazy numbers. So if he carries on like that, and he's going to be starting, then you got, especially at 8 million, he's going to be close to being a must-have, I should think.
2 tackles as well.
Yeah, thought he looked very assured as well, which is not. It's not normally something you kind of associate with an Arsenal defender, but I thought he looked very, very good all around, and that's his debut, so he's only going to get better. We had a question just in the chat about Ali. Now, this is a good question. There were rumours before the Spurs lineup came out that Ali actually wasn't in the team and Bergwijn was, but Bergwijn had got a bit ill, so Ali started. Now, I'm not sure if that's right. Ali obviously got taken off at half time as well. I didn't think he was that bad as such, and Spurs were much better in the first half than they were in the second. But obviously, Ali is a concern moving forward in that Spurs team. He's quite expensive, and a couple of people have mentioned getting maybe Pulisic in. If you had Ali, Paul, would you stick with Ali or would you look to get rid?
If you've got captaincy covers in all the days that you're potentially going to captain them, then I think Pulisic or Havertz. Yeah. Although the problem with Chelsea is that you're not going to see their lineup on Monday night.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, definitely. Okay, we had a question off Luke Wilson, so we may have answered this actually, but after we have seen most of the teams play, which budget and premium player in each position would you pick now for the first four if we started game week 1 again? So I think, we're probably fair to say Gabriel is probably one I would say. That's probably, he's not a budget. He's right in the middle. But any other thoughts on if we could start again now, which budget and which premium in each position?
Assuming we're not getting their points.
Yeah, we're not getting their points. Yeah. Any thoughts?
I'd probably still keep the team I've got. That was a sort of 4-game plan, so that is hard to say. Like you said, I'd love to have Salah's points from yesterday, but I'd still. This is going to sound mad, but I'd probably still rather have Kane for the Southampton and Newcastle game than Salah for Chelsea and Arsenal. But Salah probably still outscoring. But no, I don't really know how to answer that one. Really,
I think Hendrick is maybe an example of someone, because we were really struggling in that cheap mid area. But Højbjerg scored the 5. He did his job as expected. Obviously Mitchell, so I had Mitchell in my drafts all the way through as a budget defender. But even so, all right, he scored his 10, right, which is obviously good. But he may not. He'll be in the team next week. We don't know. Justin has done us proud. I think that pick has already been a really good pick. But yes, it's hard to answer really, because again, we've only got like a day or two's worth of data. I don't think looking now I'd have picked Kane. I think it is easy-ish in hindsight, but then I'm not a massive fan of Vardy and Leicester, as ridiculous as it is to say, and just not.
They were terrible after the restart, weren't they, as well? They were. I had Vardy, brought him in for a couple of games. He did nothing. He was useless. And then, but they start. I just don't know. Still with Leicester, like I say, with Evans out and Pereira out, and I just thought, no, just didn't fancy him. So I know it's all hard on hindsight and stuff. Like if they didn't have them 2 penalties, well, he didn't have a shot on target, did he? Apart from those, so
a few minutes earlier, I saw on Twitter. I wasn't watching it, but I saw that he'd had a knock and he was going off, and he was going to be out for a long time. So I'm not sure what happened there. But then
he's got a kick on the shin.
But then he scored a penalty 6 minutes later. So I was like, what? But anyway, we had a
Hendrick. This might come back to haunt me, but Hendrick seems like one of those traps. I think I would much rather spend, if I was spending $7.5 million, I would much rather spend it on a player that's going to trickle the returns like Højbjerg or Allen. Yeah. I know it's a little bit more expensive, but or even Romeo from Southampton that is a consistent source of points than someone that will go on a 2 or 3 game run and not get any points.
Romeo, he didn't get any bonus, did he? Is that right? Or I know he was close to when he. I'm sure I looked and he was on like 2 tackles and.
No, he got tackles.
He did get tackles, yeah.
Yeah, and it was 1 pass off passing bonus as well.
That's it, yeah. So for 6.9 million, he's
not bad.
Yeah, that's decent.
And there was a shout for that Eze as well. Apparently, he looked good when he came on, so he's one to keep an eye on, I think, as well.
Do you know? Sorry, mate. Do you know what I wish I had done? I wish I'd have done a full defensive block of a team, because I did fancy Arsenal, and because we got to see the lineup, that would have been enough just to, like, if you look at the leaderboards, most of the top teams have got like a full Arsenal block, and I wish I'd done something like that, because that would have paid off nicely, wouldn't it, the points that the Arsenal defence got. So that's what I wish I'd have done. In the B team, I wish I'd have done a full defensive block. Everton, well, now saying after today, but yeah, Everton or Arsenal or someone like that would have brought in some nice scores.
Definitely. And Everton are home to West Brom next week as well, so you've got to fancy Everton to do.
Then Palace, then Brighton.
Yeah. Right. Question from at Gary Hales 85. What's everyone's thoughts on using a few early transfers before overhaul? I've used Salah as a utility to swap for Kane today and a few others to make sure I have players for today and then no more until the overhaul. I've heard that before, Gary. Thought it best to get as many points as possible this weekend. So I think, as a rule of thumb, I think, Dan, you're looking to not use more than 4 by the overhaul. Is that right?
I think I'm going to change it now. I'll see how I get on tomorrow night. I think I'm going to try and use 1 now.
Yeah.
Just to sort of, I ain't had a great start. So at least if I get to the overhaul with more transfers than other people, then that'll give me a bit of hope of clawing it back. So yeah, I think I might just try to go with 1 now.
How about you, Paul?
Same.
Yeah.
I think if you're you think you're using points now to go ahead, but it's almost a differential in itself having transfers coming into the season. If we look at the pattern last season with that Aubameyang, Antonio, Pope moves, like that in itself would have got people 150 points in 3 or 4 transfers.
Well, no, I agree. I've got 1 obviously booked in the Orba KDB one, but I'll probably not use more than 1 more, depending on how the fixtures fall for game week 4, potentially. But that's it. That's it. Probably
still waiting on that, aren't we?
We are. But other than that, I'm determined this year. We've and now I've got you guys right from the start. We've all got each other to kind of hold off on with as well, which is really, really useful. So I think that's let's hold fast to the plan. We're 2 days in. We put a lot of thought into our teams, and this goes for everyone. We all put a lot of thought and planning into our teams, just because it hasn't gone for us this first day or two. We haven't just planned for this weekend. We've planned for the 4 weeks. So let's just see it out, stick it out. If people want to use 6, 7, 8, 9 transfer, before the overhaul and get 100-point lead, that's fine with me, to be honest, because we know we'll claw it back later on. So it's paid.
I sent you boys the that to the team, the second overall, 156 points. They had Salah captain Saturday, Vardy captain today. Brilliant start. But then they used 3 transfers. Like took out Willian, Holding, Gabriel. They took them out. Obviously, they brought in Traore as one of them. But you think, they had such a good start with those 2 captains. They made sort of 3 needless transfers. And 3 transfers in
West Ham.
On the second day, it's just mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're at home at West Ham on game day 1.
They're home to they're home to West Ham next week. So bizarre, but there we go. We had a question from Marlon Kira Mal. Was Hendrik the Armstrong replacement we were all looking for and forgot? I gotta be honest, didn't forget him. Didn't even consider him, to be honest. He was okay at Burnley, but he hardly set the world alight, did he? So he's just he's one of those, and I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't do anything else before the overhaul. But sorry, Paul, interrupted you then.
No, it's we didn't even know that he was going to start though.
Yeah.
Unless you were in the know, you didn't know how Newcastle were going to line up.
Agree. And how surprised was everyone that the app didn't crash yesterday? That was quite surprising, wasn't it?
Unbelievable. Didn't even lag or anything, did it? I was telling people, no. Once the Arsenal team news come out, you've got no chance. And you could. That was fine, wasn't it? So you done well. So
I didn't watch all of Liverpool and Leeds yesterday. I don't know if you guys did, but at Mass Vegas, I want to hear more about Lee's player point project. They have a lot of gems. I don't think we're going to probably look at Leeds pre-overhaul. Obviously Bamford did well. I think Dallas got an assist and things, but it's a complete one-off game. Who knows how they're going to look. So we'll probably reassess at overhaul. What we're going to do from now every week, we're going to use Carl's algorithm stats to take a look at some of the tackle bonus, the pass bonuses. So by the overhaul comes, by the time the overhaul comes, we'll start to build up a bit of a picture of how which kind of teams are getting the bonus, which players are getting the bonus, which will help us all with our overhaul planning. And we did have one more question. I couldn't fit it on the slide. We did have one more question off at KG_SkyFPL. If you think you've made a mistake on a player because the team they play for looked poor in game week 1, should you transfer them out or just accept the 2 pointers until overhauls? We've kind of touched on this, but if you think you've made a mistake and you think you've really picked the wrong player, and you have someone in mind for one move, the game's about enjoyment as well, right? It's only one transfer. If you really want to make the move, if you really it's one move, I would personally do it rather than suffer for 3 weeks. At least then you've got the enjoyment of that, of looking at that new player for 3 weeks. Any other thoughts on that, guys?
So, I got Kane, and anyone listening, right? If I ever talk about, I've got him now to the overhaul, possibly. If I talk about having him again, just tell me not to, because I'm sick of having Kane. But anyway, so I got him today, and I'm thinking, I just wish I didn't have him. But I think so. They've got Southampton next weekend. If you don't do anything then, I'll be so annoyed. I could just whip him out for De Bruyne, Sterling, or someone like that the next day, and that will work out nice, and I could keep Aubameyang. Do you know what I mean? Assist. Yeah, if you can get rid of someone like that, if it's just a midfielder, like, I don't know, someone who, probably not going to get much, I'd just ride out the 2, 2, and 2, and then that's overhaul time. So depends how many points you think you can make from that transfer. But yeah, I don't know. Just be calm. Like, if I know it's been bad, like for some of us, but don't just go mad now and just take someone out. Like, don't just fire Kane out for anyone. Just have a look at the fixtures and do you need him for that Southampton game as captain, or could you just whip him out for Martial next Saturday, or just have a look and just have a think.
Find the optimal exit point.
Yeah, agree. Okay, so a quick look at next week's fixtures then, guys. So we won't do next Monday because obviously we'll be doing another stream before then. But for Saturday and Sunday, who do you think are the best captains for Saturday? So we've got Everton versus West Brom, Leeds, Fulham, Man United, Palace, and Arsenal, West Ham. Paul, what are your thoughts on those Saturday games?
Bruno and Aubameyang are probably the two standout options for captaincy. I think Martial's a nice differential, and as an outside, like a sort of Virgil van Dijk type pick, I think Michael Keane at home to West Brom. I think if he plays the full 90, he's almost guaranteed to pick up tier 2 passes. Outside chance of a goal, it's quite attacking. I think I said earlier, he got 2. Did they get 2 tackles? We'll check. Tackle.
Last year's champ Liam, who is in the chat, picked Michael Keane. So for anyone who didn't see on the hub, Liam revealed his team exclusively on the hub on Friday, and that included Michael Keane, and it also included Luca Dean, I believe, as well. So well done, Liam, on that. And he's just made a comment: Spurs have a trip to Bulgaria on Thursday night. Fancy Southampton to beat them on Sunday. So that Kane move could be coming true. Dan, what are your thoughts on captaincy for the Saturday?
Same as Paul, Aubameyang or Bruno.
Yeah.
I haven't decided which one, but I don't know. I think Aubameyang, because West Ham did look pretty poor, didn't they?
I was a lot of people.
Oh, go on,
sorry, a lot of people took Bruno out, didn't they, because of the news that he might have to quarantine.
Yeah.
I would say so. Just looking at the odds, United are 1-4 to beat Palace, and Arsenal 1-2 to beat West Ham. I find that a bit strange, seeing Palace actually played pretty well yesterday and kept a clean sheet. So I think that maybe sway me more towards Aubameyang personally, but And on Sunday we've got Southampton, Tottenham. As someone has mentioned in the chat, it is the first game, so that person who's holding on to Ali, if he's benched, you've got the chance then, if you wanted to move him on for someone else playing that day. We'll get the lineups at 11 o'clock on that day. Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Leicester, Burnley. So who are the captain options on that day? Dan, can I come to you first?
I've got written down here Kane, but I might as well go with Werner. Home to Liverpool, I think, the way they've been defending. Yeah. But no, probably be Kane. I like to say, if you don't do anything, I'll get rid of him. But then they've got Newcastle the week after, so I just don't know. But yeah, Kane. I'll say Kane.
Paul?
If I had Vardy, I would captain Vardy. But I don't. So if you're asking me who I'm going to captain, Kane or Salah, I guess, or Werner as well.
Okay, yeah, it's a tough one. That one is. I just can't see me captaining Kane. I just thought Spurs were just awful. So might fancy Werner. Obviously we get to see Werner play tomorrow night to see how he does. And if he's looking sharp, he could be the one for me potentially against Liverpool. But we will see. No transfers planned, gents, until the Monday night?
No, yeah, nothing till the
Nothing
Monday.
in mind? Okay, cool. So I can't actually switch to the podcast team because I've buggered up my screen, so apologies for that. So the podcast 11, it didn't have the best start. It only got 46 points. So wasn't the best start. We did lose Armstrong to injury, and we did lose Vinagre, even though he might actually play. We did a vote on Twitter, and it was voted to take him out. So we actually took Vinagre out for Ben White, and we took Armstrong out for Soucek, who's got these mystery bonus points at the moment. So not a good start. We captained Aubameyang and we captained Kane. It's not the best start. We still have got Werner. So, and we've got White, who's obviously playing against Werner. So not the best. But in terms of transfers, gents, I'm assuming we're going to stand our ground for next week. No transfers planned as such.
No, I'd say hold it.
Yeah, I think we're all agreed on that. So we will only do a vote if one of us wants to do something different. So at the moment we will stand our ground as we are in our other teams. Now
46 points.
Now
Salah got more than a whole team.
Now for captains, then we probably got a decision to make on captaincy because we do have Bruno and we also have Aubameyang as well. So we do have a decision to make on captains. We've also got Everton home to West. No, we haven't got Luca Dino. I'm thinking of my team. Ignore me. So we've got Bruno or Aubameyang. So we would like everyone now to vote on the chat for the Saturday captaincy. Can everyone just vote once and choose either, say, Bruno or Orba? And the most popular one is the one we will captain on Saturday. So if we can have some Brunos and Orbas, please, that would be great. On the Sunday then, the options are probably so Werner at home to Liverpool and then Kane away to Southampton. Can you think of any more, gents, any more that you'd like to throw in the pot? Nothing exciting. Okay, cool. So we're getting through the votes. Every single person is, so far, apart from Peter Brown, everyone else has gone for Aubameyang. So Aubameyang will be our captain on Saturday. So thank you for that, everyone. Now for the Sunday captain, could everyone please vote Kane or Werner? Now this may be a tight one. This might be quite interesting one. This one, because this may help sway me as well, because we've all got similar arguments, I think. So if everyone can now vote, please, Kane or Werner, and that will be the podcast team captain for Sunday. Yes, just for Sunday, Tala, yeah. So Kane or Werner, if that's all right, and I will make those changes. At the moment, we have only got a couple for Kane, and everyone is on Werner, so that is interesting. So Bill's put Werner if he scores Monday. So it's pretty conclusive. We will go for Werner. The gaming idiot, we haven't got Vardy in our team, so we can't go Vardy. But everyone's going for Werner. So thank you for that, everyone. I will change the captains on those. And we will have Aubameyang for Saturday and Werner for Sunday. So that's the podcast team. Okay, an update then on the Fantasy Football Hub £500 Members League. If you are a member and you're not in this league, what are you doing? But just an update, a very familiar name up the top there for those who can't see. So Adam Byram is currently top of that league. He has scored 128 points. We've then got Pat McKenna in second on 120. Christoph Burbeck's 120, John Butchart, Kyle Patterson, Adam English, Christopher Forbes in 7th, Kevin Quinn in 8th, Mike Byram, another very familiar, I believe is Mike.
Sick of them Byrams.
I'm sick of those Byrams. Is Mike Adam's father, I believe, aren't they? Is that right? Is that right, Dan?
Mick's Adam's dad. He's trained him up, and he
trained him up, flipping heck.
Yeah.
In first
and
ninth.
Adam's got a kid as well. It's going to be a nightmare in like 18 years.
So,
never ending.
So we've got over, I think it's something like 460 players in this league. So Well done, the Byrams. A good start as usual. James Underworld is 10th. Well done, James. Paul Shark is 11th. And Terry Fletcher is 12th on 109. So that is just a quick update on that league. In terms of the most important one, the Four Nations League. So this is updated as well. In first place, House Husband's fave, Paul McAnulty, is currently top on 86.
Always put Housewife's favourite, and I had to think of a second team name a couple of years back, so that's where it came from.
Oh, okay. We've then got the reigning champion, Liam Dorrian, representing. So obviously, Paul's representing Scotland. Liam Dorrian, representing Ireland, is in second, and he's in third with his teams reigning champion 1 and reigning champion 2. Dan Cox is 4th and 5th with 58 points on both. I'm just behind, a point behind, with my Fergie Time team in 6th. Paul's Housewife's fave is in 7th. And our podcast team, guys, at the moment is sitting 8th in this league, which is my second team. So we need to turn that around. But Paul and Liam, some solid starts there in the 80s. Well done. Like I say to everyone else, don't panic, guys, over anything. It really doesn't matter yet. So finally, we move on to Dan's rant. Dan, what are you pissed off with this week?
Do you know what's annoyed me this week? I've been fuming this week.
Have you?
Raging.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I've been raging. I think we had like pre-season tension or something. I've been like angry with everyone. What's annoying me this week? Well, do you know, I'd had to round it down to 3 things, because if not, we could do a separate patron or something for about an hour.
A patron charge people to hear why you're pissed off. I love that. Brilliant.
I thought we could that, or we could let them listen to us for 15 minutes when we finish or something. That'll do, wouldn't it?
You don't want to do that, flipping out.
Well, yeah, be in trouble. Don't start a Twitter beef, but this draft, Jim, right? They have started tweeting out a captaincy poll for Sky.
Right.
I do the captaincy polls for Twitter. Sort it out. Do you know what I mean? So that's them. That's just a little warning. Another one. Why is it so hot? I don't know what it's like in your countries. Or I know Paul had like torrential rain or whatever in Scotland. It's been like 26 degrees here today. I'm sick of it. It's supposed to be like 29 on Tuesday. It's like middle of September. Sick of the heat. So that's doing my head in. And do you know what really annoyed me? And I probably might not be on the podcast next week. Fantasy Football Hub, right? Did it contributors at 11? Do you see that on Twitter? So all the top contributors made 11-a-side team. I thought, well, I'll be in here, number 10 or something. So the geezer who won FPL was manager in it. He's an Ipswich fan. Like, come on. Anyway, going through it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I thought, well, I'm not going to be that. I'm going to be number 9, 10 or something like that. I wasn't even in it. It's just all FPL people. I was fuming. I even text Will, said, like, who are these people? Like, Ben Crellin. Come on. I know he does the spreadsheets, but, you know, he's in there. Your mate, Adam Hopkins, he's in there. Like, come on. And then
Hopcroft.
FPL Heineken as well. It's just like, I was fuming. I text Will now. I've been mates with Will for ages, so you'd always text him, call him, no problem. Now I saw, can you call me on the work phone? Yeah, you know, I know how it is. So I was fuming with that Hub 11. That was a joke.
I think in all fairness, it was supposed to be an FPL 11 in all fairness.
Yeah, I did think that.
And they asked all contributors to put your best finishes in FPL as well, Dan. What's yours, like 500k or something?
Oh, I finished 32,000th and 37,000th. So, yeah, doing all right, FPL.
I love the way that Dan's going nuts at all this, because it was actually me who organised all that and actually picked the 11 as well. So have your beef at me, mate.
I made that guy made me one up. You see.
Okay. Any more rants, Dan, or are you good?
I bet, but we better leave it at that, mate.
Start
losing subscribers.
Start some for next week. Okay. Yeah, I think we've lost a few subscribers already.
They're gone, aren't they?
I think
they switch off when you come to that part.
I think a few of the our non-regulars are still asking football questions, so we'd better probably just touch on those really, really quickly. But they're all talking about transfers and stuff. I just think all 3 of us have said, if you're here for FPL, by the way, you're on the wrong stream. So just so you're aware of that. But if you are here for Sky, hold your nerve. You've made a plan. If you've got an injury, if you've got someone who doesn't look like they're going to start, if you really want a player as well, you think you've missed out potentially. Don't like ruin it, right? Ruin the next month for you and just watch him score the point. If you really want to make that transfer and you've only got like 1, 2, 3 max planned, then do it, fair enough. Just don't go from day to day using your transfers. It's very easy to do, especially the newer players. It's very easy to do. This is not FPL. It's not. You get 40 transfers over the season. The majority of successful players use their transfers in the second and thirds of the season, not in the first bit. See up to the whole ball, get some information, see where we are. That's our kind of our kind of overarching advice on all this stuff. And the guys I'm with here. So Dan has won the whole thing, and Paul has finished fourth. So we're not talking about just enthusiasts here. We're talking about people who really, really know what they're doing. Okay, so thank you so much as usual, everyone, for your support and for interacting with us on this live stream. One favour, could everyone please retweet the podcast when we tweet it out later tomorrow morning? I also want to see a lot more likes, a lot more retweets. We get a big crowd on this now. We get a lot of people watching and listening to this podcast. We're into the thousands now. We still don't get many retweets or likes and stuff. So if you do like it, please do that. Let's spread it out there, guys. That would be great if that's okay. So Dan, where can people find you?
Twitter, Dan Cox 82, and my weekly article on the Hub. You'll give them the code, won't you, if they want to sign up to the Hub? We'll get them some sort of discount, can't we?
Yes.
With our Sky podcasts, whatever code it is. So Twitter. An article on the Hub each week. Okay, and Paul, where can we find you?
On Twitter as well, so it's at Paul McAnulty 1, so MCANULTY.
Cool. And my Twitter handle is at Fergie222. So this podcast and video will be on the Fantasy Football Hub, Sky and TFF YouTube channel. Thank you so much for those who've joined it. We're up to something like 580 now, which is absolutely fantastic. Thanks for everyone who supported with that. Absolutely brilliant. And it's also available in all major podcast platforms. If you like what you watch, please click the like button and remember to subscribe in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And if you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast version and leave some comments. Ian Parrin, you're right. Ian Parrin just put in the chat, we've got 143 people watching with 18 likes. That's please like it. If you like it, please like it. It helps us rank, guys. It really does. That would be great.
And if you don't like it, don't click that you don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just go away.
Our handles on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are at FFH_HQ. Our podcast Twitter handle is at FFH_Skies. Please feel free to follow and ask any of us any questions at any time. Our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you'll find everything you need for fantasy football all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta stats, top player, team reveals, and much, much more, all of which is in our new free app for iOS and Android, which you will find in the app stores. Searching for Fantasy Football Hub. We will be back next week to preview Game Week 3. Thank you so much for all your comments in the chat, guys. Akram Zihar, what to do with Salah? This is for Sky FF. If you're playing Sky FF, keep Salah, for God's sake. That's our final comment of the night. Thank you all, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.